Welcome everybody to Showman. In this video, I'm going to be reading off you guys the entire Dimension 63 timeline, and if you guys are wondering what's inside the Dimension 63 timeline, it is the Origins, Mob of the Dead, and Shadows of Evil universe. They're just the same universe, which I was really surprised by because I didn't know that Mob of the Dead and Origins and Shadows, well, I kind of knew Shadows of Evil was the same as Mob of the Dead, but I did not know that they were both connected to Origins also. I was really surprised with that, but it's a really good listen if you guys do plan to listen to the whole thing. It's not nearly as long as the original timeline, which is pretty cool, but it's still nonetheless my favorite timeline. If you guys want to listen to the original timeline, then you guys can go check out my channel. Hopefully I'll have a playlist with all of them, and I do plan to upload the other two right after it, the Agartha and Fractures timeline, so those should be up on my channel very soon. But if you guys do go on to enjoy this video, go ahead and thumbs up. If you guys want to stay tuned for content similar to this, go ahead and subscribe. But let's get right into this. Dimension 63, January 15th, 1292. The Great War between humanity and the Apothicans begins. April 14th, 1294. Sir Pablo Marinus is saved from the clutches of Amargua by 4 unknown heroes. They would later become known as Primus. December 31st, 1299. Together with the Keepers, Primus defeated the Apothicans, bringing the Great War to an end. January 1st, 1300. Before they seemingly disappeared from history, Primus instructed the Wolf King to begin building the Reisedrache. February 18th, 1300. Pablo begins documenting the Great War, including all he has learned about the Apothicans, Keepers, and Element 115. Regarding Element 115's power, he notes that the site in northern France contains massive deposits of the element. June 4th, 1300. In northern France, a tomb is constructed to honor the fallen soldiers of the Great War. Within it, statues of Primus are constructed to symbolize that if one day great evil falls upon mankind, they may return. July 17th, 1898. Edward Richtofen's parents die. February 20th, 1905. Takeo Masaki fights the Battle of Mukundun. August 11th, 1906. Richtofen begins to study at Heinsberg University under the tutelage of Dr. Ludwig Maxis. Having lost his parents, Richtofen comes to view him as his father figure. July 3rd, 1912. Richtofen and Maxis join Group 935. June 4th, 1914. Richtofen is visited by another version of himself. Handing him some blood vials, he explains, "You will need this blood. When the time comes, it will protect you," before stepping back through the rift. January 5th, 1915. Maxis invents a Mauser prototype. August 18th, 1916. The General Pablo Marinus, Knight of the Great War, is discovered by Group 935. March 23rd, 1917. Using the information gathered from Pablo's journal, Group 935 begins work at the Dix site in northern France, where they discover a series of underground tombs. April 12th, 1917. Group 935 discovers what appears to be an entrance to the tomb's main chamber. They struggle to gain access. May 11th, 1917. Unable to access the main chamber, soldiers listen to gramophones to elevate their frustration. When listening to the recording of La Source Nero, the entrance of the main chamber unexpectedly opens. The camp's exposure to Element 115 begins. May 21st, 1917. Using the information from Pablo's journal and the tomb's main chamber, Maxis draws schematics for the creation of the elemental staffs, and instructs Richtofen to begin their construction. May 29th, 1917. The more Maxis reads of the Great War, the more he begins to question the understanding of the scientific world, the true nature of the universe itself. He finds himself open to the possibility of a higher power. June 11th, 1917. As Group 935 experiments with Element 115, they successfully create a localized energy field which appears to function as portals. Nothing that objects can pass through them. Maxis speculates that the rifts may have open gateways across space-time. The rifts allow Samantha to reach out to Maxis from Agartha. She begins to help, she begs for help, and ultimately reveals she's his daughter. June 5th, 1917. An ancient box with the power to manifest weapons from different eras arrives through a portal. Maxis fears that Element 115 is disturbing the space-time continuum. July 1st, 1917. Following the installation of Element 115 power generators, reports surface regarding ancient figures emerging from the dig site, corresponding with the mysterious death of the number of Group 935 soldiers. The ancient figures are undead knights from the Great War. August 3rd, 1917. Nikolai Belinsky is sent to exile. September 10th, 1917. Using Element 115, Group 935 constructs Freya, Odin, and Thor, giant robots who who they believe will secure victory for the Central Powers. September 22nd, 1917. Richtofen notes that, in spite of Group 935's progress at the dig site, he is troubled at Max's growing obsession with Pablo's diary. October 6th, 1917. Takeo Masaki is dispatched to France by the Emperor to gather intel on Group 935's weapon technology. November 19th, 1917. Following the reports of prototyped armored weaponry, strange lights in the sky, a mysterious plague, and even giant metal men, Tank Dempsey is sent to northern France to assess the extent of Group 935 capabilities. December 10th, 1917. Already exiled in Europe, Nikolai receives new orders from the Imperial Russian Army to investigate the enemy's war machines. Still loyal to the motherland, he willingly obliges. February 23rd, 1918. Nikolai writes of an ongoing civil war in his homeland. He does not expect peace to last long, but he's enjoying his time in France. March 2nd, 1918. Learning that the Emperor wishes to meet and discuss the matter of great importance with our nations, Takeo writes he feels a growing intense dread in the wake of his recent dark, twisted dreams. April 14th, 1918. Despite ongoing battles, Dempsey's farewell in northern France. In a personal letter, he reveals that both the Japanese and Russian armies have also sent spies to investigate the activities of Group 935. May 1st, 1918. Maxis is obsessed with the voice of Samantha, who now speaks with him constantly. He believes her to be the key to everything. May 12th, 1918. Believing that his mentor has been affected by Element 115 like others at the dig site, Richtofen reports to Max's erratic behavior to Group 935 senior staff. May 13th, 1918. Richtofen learns from Pablo's journal that the northern France dig site may be the single largest deposit of Element 115 on Earth. He believes this explains why it's affected so many people on the site. May 14th, 1918. Now completely consumed by Samantha's voice, Maxis swears he will no longer serve Group 935's mission. June 4th, 1918. Element 115 awakens the undead knights from the Great War and quickly consumes the camp. Maxis is rendered catatonic by the element. Richtofen removes his brain before he turns. Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takeo unite with Richtofen on the battlefield to help free Samantha from her imprisonment in Argartha. Primus has been reunited. Samantha sends Primus to their next destination. Maxis' brain arrives in Argartha, and Dr. Monty decides to step in. Monty brings Maxis' brain to the house and wipes the Maxis corrupted by the Dark Ether from existence. July 18th, 1922. Salvador Cel De Luca opens a gambling house across Chicago. This marks the beginning of the De Luca's crime family. February 17th, 1923. Billy Handsome joins the De Luca crime family as a hitman. Cel will come to look at Billy as the son he's never had. September 18th, 1923. As an expert in gambling and rigging sporting events, Michael Finn O'Leary begins working for Cel. March 23rd, 1924. Finn marries Agnola Bull as an aspiring starlet with delusions of grandeur. March 1st, 1929. Cel writes with his frustration with Chicago's finest. After many years of successful bribes with the city, it becomes clear that it is no longer an option. May 11th, 1930. Cel begins working with Albert Arlington, an associate in Los Angeles, known for being a master schemer and bank robber. October 10th, 1930. Finn informs his lawyer he will not accept a divorce from Angelina, saying she will leave this marriage the day she leaves this earth. October 11th, 1931. After an LA heist for Cel goes wrong, Al wakes up in the hospital. October 28th, 1931. While in the hospital, Al submits Icarus from Mars for publication at a comic strip. In his third attempt, it is denied again. November 11th, 1931. Angry and frustrated with his collapsing empire, Cel kills a prostitute. No longer willing to turn a blind eye, Chicago PD arrests him. December 1st, 1931. In an operation against Cel De Luca's crime family, Billy is arrested for multiple homicides. December 19th, 1931. In an operation against Cel De Luca's crime family, Finn is arrested by Chicago PD when his wife offers evidence against him. January 19th, 1931. Al is arrested for his role in the LA heist. May 14th, 1932. Cel is found guilty of murder. He is sentenced to life in prison at Alcatraz. May 16th, 1932. Billy is found guilty of 116 counts of murder. He is sentenced to life in prison at Alcatraz. May 30th, 1932. Finn is found guilty of 16 counts of gambling fraud. He will serve his sentence at Alcatraz. June 13th, 1932. Cel and Billy arrive at Alcatraz Island. June 31st, 1932. Finn arrives at the Alcatraz Island. July 1st, 1932. Al is found guilty of grand larceny, grand theft auto, arson, conspiracy, and battery. He will serve his sentence at Alcatraz. August 3rd, 1932. Elle arrives at the Alcatraz island. January 13th, 1933. Stanley Ferguson begins working at the Alcatraz island. April 1st, 1933. Elle convinced Cell, Finn, and Billy that they can build a plane to escape Alcatraz. December 2nd, 1933. Realizing the plane will never be completed, and embedded with rage, Cell, Finn, and Billy plot to get their revenge against Elle. December 31st, 1933. Finn, Cell, and Billy lure Elle to the roof and kill him. January 11th, 1943. Zipping through the rift, Richtofen secures the blood samples of Cell and Finn. January 19th, 1934. Found guilty of Elle's murder, Cell, Finn, and Billy are executed by electric chair. Mob of the Dead. Cell, Finn, Billy, and Elle battle against waves of the undead as they find themselves trapped in a seemingly endless cycle. April 16th, 1940. Richtofen arrives in Dimension 63, where he contacts members of the Illuminati and enlists their help to build a laboratory facility beneath Alcatraz. April 18th, 1940. Richtofen meets with Stanley Ferguson and convinces him to assist him with the Illuminati's construction of the Alcatraz laboratory. July 3rd, 1941. Stanley Ferguson reports that the laboratory has been completed and that the subjects will be placed in a stasis chamber upon arrival. July 4th, 1941. Richtofen returns to the lab under Alcatraz, where he meets Victus, arriving from the empty Earth with the Chronorium. Upon reading the Chronorium, Richtofen discovers numerous timelines documenting their fates and learning about the blood vials. He would later write on the page, "I know what I must do." ER 4741. Richtofen enters a rift to acquire blood of Cell and Finn. After delivering the blood to his younger self and recovering the blood vials belonging to Victus, he returns. Victus is placed on ice to be kept safe until they are needed next. July 4th, 1941. Primus arrives to collect the blood vial samples from Richtofen. Following Primus's departure, Richtofen learns the location of the summoning key and travels to his next designation. October 1st, 1943. Stanley Ferguson leaves employment at Alcatraz. October 21st, 1943. Posing as Mr. Rapt, the Shadow Man hires the reporter to recover artifacts from the South Pacific and Russia. December 14th, 1943. The reporter recovers the artifacts from the South Pacific and Russia. Among them is a summoning key. December 25th, 1943. As Mr. Rapt requests, the reporter speaks to Stanley Ferguson, a retired guard from Alcatraz. Stanley gives details on the account of Elle Arlington, Billy Handsome, Finn O'Leary, and Cell DeLuca. December 31st, 1943. At Mr. Rapt's request, the reporter arrives in Morgue City to take in the sights, sounds, and smells. January 15th, 1944. A meteor shower rains over Morgue City. January 30th, 1944. The reporter notes a strange mold is growing all over the city. He also notes that people are getting sick and acting delirious. February 13th, 1944. A fruit vendor tells the reporter about an ancient order of the Keepers and how they are the ones holding back the forces of the apocalypse. He talks about hearing a chant from beneath the city. March 30th, 1944. The reporter sends Mr. Rapt a telegram providing the details and contact information of Nero, Jessica, Floyd Campbell, and Jackie Vincent. April 5th, 1944. Aware of the Shadow Man's actions, Monty writes to the reporter, warning him not to give the summoning key to anyone. April 10th, 1914. Jessica Rose learns a photographer is in possession of compromising pictures of her. April 20th, 1944. Pretending to be a company executive, the Shadow Man tells Nero's lawyer that Nero's wife has been taking out substantial loans from in his name. Nero has 15 days to settle before the company seeks reparation. Facing multiple debts due to his wife's spending habits, Nero decides to kill his wife and use her life insurance to pay the debt. April 20th, 1944. Posing as an internal affairs officer, the Shadow Man tries to convince Jackie Vincent's partner to admit that Jackie is on the take. Upon learning that the internal affairs is snooping around, Jackie plans to kill the snitch who could provide evidence against him. April 20th, 1944. The Shadow Man poses as a film director interested in hiring Jessica for the lead role. He tells her producer the part is hers. Afraid that the photographer could jeopardize her chance at stardom, she asks him to meet her so they can sort stuff out. April 20th, 1944. Posing as a journalist, the Shadow Man suggests Floyd Campbell is a journeyman fighter to Floyd's promoter. Waiting to guarantee his shot at the title, Floyd decides to wear brass knuckles under his gloves to fight Tony King. April 21st, 1944. Nero misses a call from his lawyer informing that the documents were fraudulent and there was nothing to worry about. April 21st, 1944. Jack misses a call from his partner saying that he had his back with internal affairs and there was nothing to worry about. April 21st, 1944. Floyd misses a call from his promoter that the fight was a success and that he had a shot at the title. April 21st, 1944. Jessica misses response is a call from her producer saying that he didn't have a good feeling about the director and it didn't work out. However, he scores her in a lead musical that he and his partner are financing. April 21st, 1944. Jessica kills a photographer and secures the incriminating photos. April 21st, 1944. Jack kills a snitch who could turn him over to internal affairs. April 21st, 1944. Floyd kills Tony King in the boxing match and cashes in his winnings. April 21st, 1944. Nero kills his wife in a work accident, cashing her life insurance policy to square away the debts. April 21st, 1944. Richtofen arrives in Morgue City to secure the summoning key. April 22nd, 1944. Richtofen learns the reporter has the summoning key and confronts him. The reporter waves Monty's letter at Richtofen and orders him to stay away before attacking him. Richtofen kills the reporter in self-defense. April 25th, 1944. Shadows of Evil. Nero, Jack, Floyd, and Jessica are knocked unconscious at the Black Lace Brusette Club. They wake up in a twisted version of Morgue City, shifted slightly from reality. They are told they can atone for their sins by the Shadow Man. All four are tricked into performing the rituals. Jessica sacrifices the producer, Jack sacrifices his partner, Floyd sacrifices his promoter, and Nero sacrifices his lawyer. Completing the required rituals, the Apothecans are given access to Dimension 63. Realizing they have been duped, the four work together with the Keepers to defeat the Shadow Man. They trap him in the summoning key, but before they can hand it over to the Keepers, Primus Richtofen arrives and steals the key. Richtofen travels to Dimension 2210 to secure an innocent Richtofen soul. He delivers a soul to the house from within the summoning key. The Shadow Man states, "I'll be seeing you." April 26, 1944. The Apothecans destroy Dimension 63.